on Facebook. Good morning, Jacquelyne.
Good morning, Pam.
I don't think we're on Facebook yet, so let me see here. Choose where on your timeline. All these things. Preparing live streaming preview. I'm so excited to have figured this out, I hope. Good juju. Dismiss that. We are live. I think they're 20-second delay. I'm going to put a little say something. Join us as we talk about how we live our lives with fierce compassion. And then title. What should I put a title here, Jacquelyne? How should I title this?
It's like, I think it's how we serve. It's like we serve through just walking our walk.
Yeah.
You know, service as the walk as service, and service as the walk. I don't know.
Two friends, colleagues, exploring how we choose to be in service. All righty, go live. Setting up your meeting for Facebook Live. I guess I had to do all that first, so we haven't actually been live yet. Here we are. Whoops, I don't know what that means. It has all these options. It's like freaking me out. Here we are.
I get it. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to mute my Facebook. Okay, so I get a feedback. Okay, hi, Jacquelyne.
Hi, Pam.
Hi. I'm so excited because we met in 2000.
Wow.
And I was on a quest of learning who I was, how I wanted to change. I was very ill at the time. I was very challenged with autoimmune disorders and weird things. And I knew that I had to find an answer, not only for me, but for my, what's my purpose in life? And Barb and I, my spiritual sister, we found you, and you were coming to Bend, Oregon to do a workshop. Oh my gosh, that has changed our life.
Wow.
Changed our life. And so I wanted to, we've kept in touch over the years, and I wanted to bring you on because you had such an impact on my life. And first of all, thank you so much. I hope you realize how big that was for me. Just getting this reading, also this short little weekend workshop, gave me permission to be who I already was, and to expand and have more control of that energy rather than it controlling me. So that was really the beginning of the journey of wholeness and healing.
Awesome. I remember meeting the two of you and how familiar the two of you were to my heart. And to me, that's when we always know that we're, part of the same soul family, when we recognize each other immediately. It's like, I don't know these people, but I do know these people. It's like, oh, you're sisters in my heart. Oh, sisters from another mother. Oh, yeah, So there's a resonance immediately. And the ability for us to recognize each other.
Yeah.
Was there. Certainly one of my gifts is to be able to see someone else's gifts and to call them forth. But you and Barb were both, I woke up with the idea that you were both crowning, like, baby coming, out of the womb. It's like you both were crowning in your understanding of who you were and what your work was about. You were just beginning to crown with it. And then I had the pleasure and honor of being the midwife to go, yeah, come on out. It was so obvious that both of you were just right on the cusp of channeling your divine nature and your perfect work. So.
Oh, and it was so profound. In fact, I've got pages of journals, and your cassette tape fell out of the closet. That's how I decided to say, I need to get something going with Jacquelyne, because I was actually getting a pair of binoculars out of my closet, and I have this big boot box of cassette tapes, and two fell out. One was the one with you from 2000, and the other one was from my son's reading, which was so profound as well a year later. And I'll just have to tell everybody here, if you are wondering about who you are, how you want to serve in the world, and many other things that you give people, you are able to tap into an energy field that is personally theirs, their guides, see images. And what came through for me is with the reading is I'd already had a sense in a relationship with many angels. And you said you have a divine, you have Archangel Gabriel is right here. He's right here with you. And so this was in July of 2000. Like you said, you put this crown on me, and I just in September of 2000, I was already working with people individually, having incredible intuitive guidance, and yet this piece was like the flame on the fire. And I started asking, my first circle was like 21 women came together, just an invitation. I was teaching jazzercise at that time. And so I already had some people that knew me in an inspirational way. And I started channeling, and I didn't really even know what channeling was. And it sounds like so woo-woo. It's really not. I think everybody does it all the time, and we don't know it. So I'm going to hand it over to you, because one thing that was pretty amazing, we were trying to get together just to have a chat in the last few days. And you said, well, I have 7 back-to-back clients. And I'm like, holy moly, I want to hear from you about your work, but also how do you manage your energy so that you don't get burnt out, so that you can stay present for other people, so that you can continue to be in service and out of ego. And how do you keep that fierce compassion within you going?
Thank you. Well, I do live in the country. As a sensitive, it was a little difficult working in a big city where there were, people right next door and all around. So being a little insulated in the mountains and in the countryside does help me. I know I feel a little more stable physically for that. And I love my work, and I love my clients. There's truly nothing else I'm qualified to do, but this is it. And it is my bliss and my joy. And I know without a doubt that it isn't my personality and my ego. When someone asks a question and the answer is there, I have no doubt that didn't come from me. And often I'm still, after 30 something years, I'm looking around, whoa, that was cool. Hey, thanks. Whoa, the phone rings, and it's like, I do trust now that somebody has something to say. And I just totally surrender. And when that phone rings, I say hello, and then I step away and I do my invocation. I ask that whoever needs to talk to you, whatever it is you need to hear today, comes through as cleanly and as clearly as possible. Okay, and then that I put my focus on that person, and in that moment, their soul history, their personal Akashic records, all that they are as a being, all their bodies reveal themselves, and just with tremendous love, because it's just there. It's like, oh my God. And all of our messiness, it makes me want to cry, because so many people think that they have to be whole or healed before they can serve. That's like baloney. No, I mean, it's yes, we do bring our gifts, our talents, our abilities, our knowledge, and our know-how to the table, so to speak. But our resonance and the medicine, the actual medicine that we have for the people that would come to us, our students and the people who would seek our work, they need our medicine. And that medicine includes our failings and our weaknesses and our challenges and our difficulties and all the human stuff that we also bring. And so that's where the resonance is. And that's where, when we show up, just profoundly show up, willing to let Holy Spirit move through us, and to just say, whatever it is that needs to come through, let me be an instrument. And that sounds kind of corny, but truly that is where it comes from. And I know now, and it took me a long time to learn this, that I do show up with everything that I am, not just the parts of me that are bright and shiny, for God's sake. Yeah. It's the messiness of our human experience that also is there. I'm so real and so raw that I think that shows, and there isn't anything special about that. So when I'm with that person, I'm with that person as intimately as I can be. And then when we're done, it's like, okay, we're done. And I can feel that. I can, all right, we've come to the end of something. And it continues to amaze me when I turn it over to Spirit and I say, all right, what's the first message? There's always a first message, and it's usually time specific. And then at the end of the reading, inevitably, we go right back to the beginning. And it continues to blow my mind. It's like, all right, we go right back to where we started, and they wrap it up and put a bow on it, and we're done.
Wow.
And then I just drop it. I do a little clearing, and I step away. I put put myself in a little orb, little veil. It's like, all right, that's veiled. I love you, I bless you, put you aside. And then the phone rings, and it's the next person. And that's a very clean space, because that also got tied up with a bow, and it's over here now. So at the end of the day, sometimes if I've had, like, especially a lot of like animals, talking with me, there's been some real stress that came up in sessions, then I might do a little mini debrief, at the end of the day with my guides. And I'm animated. I move. I mean, I don't sit, so I'm up standing now, and I move and I shake it off, and it's like, okay, that none of this is mine. So I love y'all, and I bless you, and I release it, and then I stand in my own container. So, yeah.
I love that. And I think that's why I resonate with you so much, because I love your authentic being, that, the wholeness of who you are. And we kind of laughed before we got on. We said we both put a little bit of lipstick on today. And and it's just fun just to be real. It's just not, it's not about the lipstick, but it was fun to do that, to get
it was like a little girly thing.
I'm all dressed up, I'm getting on camera, on Facebook Live, and that was fun. But that's what I have with you. I have just this really casual, fun, intimate, because I'm an intimate junkie. I'm just like intimacy. I just love it, because I love to into you, me, see. I love to be able to see you, and it's your essence that I'm so in love with. And
same with you. It's so refreshing to be with someone who's just real. And we're not trying to look good, not trying to sound smart, not trying to be spiritual or whatever the heck that's supposed to be, but just real, authentic, and genuine. And, it's like, we are people, we're women, and we have that. And yes, we're spiritual beings, but we have all this other stuff, that multi-layered things. Life is complicated. And to pretend
I think the human part is hard, that's the human part. And yet that's so important. It's just like this equality and this balance that we need to bring in, being the temple with the doors and the windows open, and being able to be in the presence of the body of our temple, and hear and know its cues and its needs and its wants and its desires, and be open to this incredible energy that is available to all of us, that is fuel for the fierce compassion.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's like you love what you do. I love what I do. And I think that even in my darkest times, when I'm going through a personal evolutionary process, it has to go kind of dark sometimes, which really is the dying off process of what's no longer serving me, so I can continue to show up and serve. I still have this knowing that I'm in service and know what I love to do. It may show up differently now. And so, and one word you said I loved, surrender. One thing that you do so beautifully, and there's so many empaths out there and so many sensitive people out there, is you surrender and you surrender. And then you tie it up in a bow and you let go. It's so many of us that are sensitive, we just collapse. And we, when we collapse with energy, we hold on to it. Oh, yes. And you're shaking and you're rattling and you're releasing consciously, and when we can do that very regularly, every day, we are able to be present, more present.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I have a little thing on my blog where I said I'm a reluctant psychic, and certainly I am. I mean, all my life I was sensitive and I heard things and saw things, and we talked about this a little bit this morning. It's like, when I was a teenager, I was worried because I thought, boy, you got to be careful who you tell these things to, because they're going to think you're Looney Tunes and woo-woo wackadoo, and they're going to put you in a hospital and put you on medicine, and then you're not going to know what's what. And it's like, oh, yeah, okay, so, what is this? And how do you learn to work with it? And I was one of those people, I kept praying every day, make me useful, make me useful, make me useful. And then I started getting this download. It's like, oh, well, this is what we need you to do. And it's like, no, not that, something else. Make me useful, make me useful, not that, something else, make me useful. And then finally, it's like, all right, I have to surrender. If every day when I say make me useful, this is what comes, why am I arguing? It's like, okay, what else am I going to do in the world? This is it. This is using my nature. It's my nature. It's who and what I am. This is what it is. And I just surrender and I let Holy Spirit come through. And it took me a long time to learn that surrender, but it's like, okay, yeah, it does. It's surrender. It's surrender in my being and surrender to be a vehicle to let something else come through.
And thank goodness you've done that. You've helped so many people. I'll never forget Barb's whole life purpose shifted so drastically, and you gave her this spark of something that she didn't know what it was, but she knew what it was. She didn't have language for it, but she knew it. It was familiar. It was her God spark. It was, and that's the thing that's so crazy about being human is we get dense in our energy and dense in our minds.
Yes.
Because we squeeze out the gift because it's too easy. The gifts are easy. Those are parts of us that are natural. That's something it's said. This is my nature. And yet we try to conform. We try to fit in. And I had a really interesting childhood. I had some big challenges in my childhood. And I had a magical childhood because I was one of those kids that I just popped out of my body. That's where I was the most comfortable. And I created in nature. That was where I was comfortable. And in the home is where I felt the stress and I felt uncomfortable. So I really related to the nature. And in that, someone said, well, it sounded like you were really dissociative. And somebody puts a label on it. I said, whatever you want to call it. What I learned though, instead of it doing me, I started doing it.
Yes.
Because that was the gift.
Yes.
And yet it was out of control and it was doing me. So I had to get more in my body to say, oh, wait a minute, stay here. you are actually safe. And so that was, that I work with a lot of people. That's their challenge, is to be more present and to recognize that those challenges we had is the pressure that creates that diamond that we are.
Yes. 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 You and I spoke briefly a couple of days ago about the challenges of illness. And, I mean, we grew up at a time where, the whole new age idea was that anything and everything should be healed, right? If it presents itself, we need to heal it, and fix it and resolve it. And it's like, no, some of these things don't get resolved. And we learn how to surrender. We learn how to deal with it. We learn how to manage it.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. It's
it
like,
is. And
I'm
we
always going to
surrender.
Yes.
We surrender to the illness.
We surrender. We don't make it our enemy anymore.
Yes. So I have a little comment here from Regina. Hi, Regina. I feel like recently I have become more aware of having empathic qualities. I'm feeling overwhelmed recently about what is going on in the world. I find myself crying all the time. Do you feel that I am taking on other people's stuff? Would you like to address that first?
Simple answer would be hell yeah. Yeah, you are, definitely. If I tune in for just a second and look at you personally.
Regina.
So they tell me that at any given time right now, you're experiencing somewhere between 37 and 43% of the yuck and muck and the cooties from the collective. So that's pretty significant. That's, almost half of your anxiety or your fatigue or your dis-ease right now is from the collective. And so, yeah, it's difficult for the first thing that we have to learn as empathic sensitives is how to observe and not absorb, to witness something, to notice it. Oh yeah, that's the weather outside my window, but it's not mine. It's just a weather system. It's not bad. It doesn't even need to be labeled as anything. It just is the weather. And right now the collective is pretty stirred up. So,
and I think, and the thing that I recognize, Jacquelyne and Regina, is there's two folds. It is that, it's like a wind, wind that comes in and it blows through us. Thank you for, for the recognition of whatever is going on. And yet this is not mine personally.
Yes.
And it's know thyself, so that your solid core essence is strong, in the sense of I know when those shifts are happening because I know myself first. Waking in, checking in with self.
Yeah. So how would you advise Regina or someone like Regina to dismiss that which is not hers?
Well, do the dance, do the shake. Do the shake and rattle and roll. Another thing that I love to do too is when we feel that shift, like if we wake up and we were great going to bed, it could have been a dream. Also, it could be the energy collecting around us that is really intense in the world. And so I lay there and I breathe deep. I do breath work as part of the practice of awakening, but even in that moment, breathe deep and consciously, everything is intention, just consciously releasing all that is not mine. I release all that is not mine on the out breath, and I bring my God spark in. I bring, Holy Spirit, Creator, whatever your what you call God. I bring that in, and that is what I'm here to be present for, so that I can show up in life. And it sounds so simple because it is. But it's really an intention, because collapsing is hanging on. When we feel it, it grabs us. It literally does. And yet be the blowfish, like make your space bigger instead of smaller. And just imagine things just bouncing off of you, or at least going through you like a breath. Before I met you, I was working with a lot of shamanic indigenous people, and one medicine man told me, all you need to do is to acknowledge that all energy is like a breath. And when you bring that breath into your body, you're hanging on to it. And so breathing and releasing intentionally. Thanks, Regina. I hope that helps.
Thank you, Regina. Yeah, I often say if it serves my health, my wellness, if it serves my health, wealth, and my vitality, then bring it on. I want more of that. If it serves me or helps me to serve, if it enhances my health, my wealth, my happiness, my joy, bring it on. If it doesn't, it's out of here. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
And it's not to be in bypass. It's not to ignore what's happening on the planet. But awareness gives us something.
Yes.
Awareness gives us choice. And choice is action.
Yes.
And so when we have awareness, oftentimes we don't go into action. We just go into reaction.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. It's so fun to be connecting with you in this way. And I'd love to see us do some more.
Me too. I mean, we're doing the same work, and
yeah, we are.
Yet very differently. In fact, it's funny because I really help people increase their intuitiveness, and also how to learn how to read what they're getting.
Yes.
Talk about that a little bit, because everybody receives things differently. How did you learn to interpret what you got? Because for you, it might mean something different than it does for me.
When I get something that I don't understand, or when I get something that I know I'm, as Jackie personality wants to put a label on, well, because it looks like that, it must mean that, or because it sounded like that, it reminds me of that. As soon as I'm in that place, I know I'm out of the authentic moment. So then I have to clear myself again. I clear and I go back into highest intention for the greater good of this person. It's about their information, not my information. So I have to zone back in again. And yeah, we're all different. I'm primarily clairaudient. I'm going to hear something first.
Okay.
There's going to be a message. There's going to be some kind of a download of understanding. And because I've been, I call it been in the hopper for so long, I've been doing this for so many years, 35 years professionally, and, well over 35,000 readings, I'm sure, and almost all by word of mouth. So I'm like, I'm in the hopper a lot. And so the popcorn pops fast. And so right. I've learned to trust that over the years. When it comes in, I just know. In the beginning, when I didn't know, it was challenging. And then I'd say, well, okay, I heard that. Is there another way to talk about that? Can you give it to me in a feeling? Can you give me a picture? Can you give it to me? All right, I'm seeing that. Is there another way to give me that? Okay, I'm feeling that. Is there another way to give me that? So I kind of think of it as kind of like milking the cow. It's like, give me more. I got a little bit, give me more. I got a little bit, give me more, So it's like, okay, that's cool, but, I want more. And I'm passionate about the information being practical, usable, doable. I don't want airy-fairy woo-woo, just love more. Give me something practical, usable, doable, make it practical, make it useful. So that's why I say practical, usable support for your journey. Otherwise, it's just airy-fairy. It's theoretical, and, who cares?
Yeah, that's me. I got my boots on the ground, girlfriend, and I am a practical one too.
So we summon that.
What's that?
We summon that. That's what you and I require of spirit, is that it be usable. I want an engaged, you talked about it earlier, an intimate relationship. So I'm in an intimate relationship with my soul, and my soul's in an intimate relationship with my God and with the people who come to me. And you're that too. It's just perfect.
So let's bring it down to the practical, because we want to break it down for people that may not quite understand what they're getting. Because I think the universe is always speaking to me personally, and I notice what I need to notice because it's giving me a message. And so that's not like I have it on all the time. But if I'm thinking about something and a dragonfly shows up, I actually think of that as a message. And I look deeper into what I was just thinking. So, and dragonfly to me would mean something different than probably for you. And it does actually mean something different for me in the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And that might sound hyper vigilant, but it really isn't. It's just awakened and with my eyes wide open, being willing to receive information in the way that I can receive it.
Yes.
So
yes.
can you talk about, maybe give an example of maybe even a recent reading, something that came in. I love how you engage and you ask questions. I'm always saying that with people that breathe with me. Ask questions. What does it feel like? You know, be engaging.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
part of milking that cow. It's like, what does it smell like, look like, taste like? And then take the label off of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then what else is beyond that label, beyond that first impression? As soon as we start getting ideas about it, we've overrode the gift.
Yeah, it's coming from here, not here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that first run by, you know, when you're sitting asking for something, when you're genuinely asking for help, guidance, assistance, support, I always say, make that call from your sincere heart. It's not the demand from the human personality, it's the command from my soul that says, hey, I deserve and I expect accurate support and guidance. I expect something to be practical and usable and doable. I expect that and I require that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what good is it? I don't want airy fairy bullshit. I want something that's usable and practical and doable in my world. And so I have expected that. I've created a container for that. And that's what I would want my clients to do. I want you to know that you have a right to that. You have a right to guidance that's useful and practical. This isn't just airy fairy woo woo. This is real. This stuff is real. You actually get support here.
You do.
And you call on it and you ask for it and you engage it.
Yes.
And you can ask for it the way that you need to. You know, I was in a class many, many, many years ago with a woman. I don't remember her name now. And she had, I don't know, just a rarefied environment that she created in the room. And I started channeling all this math stuff, all these numbers and all these formulas, which I don't relate to at all. And I was like, where is this coming from? And I blah, 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 blah. And she was writing it down. I was like, oh, this is what I was looking for. And it's like, I was like, okay, for that moment, I guess that was important, but that wouldn't do me a bit of good. You know, what's with that? I don't have any use for that. So, you know, it's what do you need? How are you a feeler? Are you an emotional being? Then you're probably going to get feelings. Are you real mental and intellectual? You're probably going to get thoughts and ideas that inspire you from there. Are you, you know, it's okay to be a thinker. You know, it's okay if you're organic in your body and you get body sensations. That's one of the intuitions. So let it all come in. There isn't one right way. And, you know, I don't like it when someone, it's like I'm hesitant to even sometimes introduce people to their guides and their angels, because then they say, oh, Jackie said his name was such and such. And, oh, well, Jackie said, who cares what Jackie said? It's like, what do you think? What do you feel? What is your insight? What does your gut say about this? What's going on in you? It's you. It's your relationship with them, not mine. So I'm always feeling like I have to like decontaminate that information now and take my sense of it off and give you your own.
Yeah.
There's no right way. This is an art, not a science.
Yes. I love that. And you're an amazing artist. You're a master artist.
Well, it grows with time. It grows with time and experience.
I think you're right. I think what a lot of people is, they ask and then they don't trust.
Yes.
Because they get something and then their mind gets involved and then they think about the second and third offerings, which are not spirit driven but mind driven. Mm-hmm. And then they get confused, and so then they're just frozen in it. And so I always say, what is it, what's your first, you know, like the first word or the first reaction or the first whatever, because that's the truth.
That's the purest. Yeah.
That's the purest.
Before we started interpreting it. And yeah.
And that's only with practice. You know, and we could do that in our relationships. It's like, you know, in our safe relationships, and we can ask for permission, like, Jacquelyne, would you mind if I, you know, share with you an impression I'm having right now? I'm just practicing my intuition.
Yes.
And I think that as we grow empathically for ourselves, as we increase our capacity to be in touch with who we are as human beings, and living in a place of surrender, forgiveness, and love and respect for self, we're going to grow that in the world. And I think right now where we are in our world is we need to really remember empathy. Empathy is to be able to put yourself in the place of someone else's boots. It doesn't matter who people are, what they're doing. We can't lose the reality that we're all on the planet, we're all evolving, we're all human beings, we all are one, and we all lose ourselves and we forget and go into fear. And we need more empathy, because what's dividing us is lack of empathy and this place of individuation that is just rooted in being right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that doesn't mean to not have opinions. It means to have actions with your opinions. We don't always have to talk about those things, publicly, so we can get attacked. But what's more important is, what are you doing about what is going on in the world? But what is, awareness is one thing, but then we need to have some action steps.
And truly, there is a lot going on. There's a lot of trauma on the planet right now. There's a lot of fear and a lot of dread, and all that's very real. And if I am focusing on that collective trauma, and I am allowing it to drain my vitality, or because I'm focused on it, it's making me sad, or it's making me scared, or it's putting me into judgment or whatever, then that reality, yes, that maybe I have some medicine for, maybe I don't, I got to take my attention off that, because it is preventing me from serving where I really could.
Yeah.
It's like, if I get drained out on these things that I can't do anything about, so many problems in the world I can't solve. So I can offer a prayer, but then I got to turn away to serve where I can serve. This is where I do have medicine. This is where I do have energy to give. And so again, that self-awareness, we have to know ourselves, know what our medicine is, what our gifts and abilities are. And so we don't waste them, because we can just sit and worry about things, or we can sit and fret about even loved ones. Oh my God, I'm worried about my so-and-so. I'm worried about, well, are they going to be okay? All right, put a little orb around them, love them, and, send a blessing and prayer, but I can't focus on them, or I will be ineffective in the ways that I actually am needed to serve.
Because everything's energy, like we were talking about, and energy will collapse us when we allow that. And it's not living in a bypass kind of way at all. It's being present, because I believe that we heal the world one person at a time. You and I taking accountability and doing what we do best with our gifts is one person at a time. It's not, convention centers full of people. It's really, being the vision holders for others, because I think that's something you and I can do really well. We see the higher presence when people show up, regardless of where they are. And to me, it's like, it's such a privilege to be people's vision holders. I have to have vision holders.
Yes.
Because I forget when I'm going through another round of letting go and rebirthing into something new, or new vibration or whatever it is. I forget, and I need, those few people that know who I am at my core, that remind me. Just another growth spurt.
Yes. Oh, I love it. I love that. Vision holders. I like that. Yeah, that we can witness for each other what the truth is beyond the trauma, or the other realities that mix with those other realities. I mean, they're all real. And where are we in the moment? Yeah.
And they all have some sort of divine way in which to grab something to learn. When we move out of victim, we move into student. I'm always a student.
Yes, same. Yeah. Yeah, because we don't hold on to anything. It's like if you have that achievement, it's like, woohoo, that was great. If I hold on to that, I'm not ready to receive the next moment either. The next
No,
input.
because you're in
So,
your ego.
surrender again, surrender again. Oh, that was cool. Woo! And it's like, all right, surrender that again. Yeah.
That
Sure.
was fun. What's next? Because it
Yeah.
probably, because if we try to repeat, we're not in the moment with service, right? True,
Right.
authentic service.
Authentic service. Yeah. Yeah.
It has to be in the moment, why it's evolving and changing. Whatever we serve is changing as well.
Yeah. 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 Fierce compassion. I love that for ourselves and for those that we serve.
Yes.
What it's all about.
Yeah. So to me, that's what I love to bring into people's lives. It's like, what are you fiercely compassionate about? And some people don't have a clue because they're not, because they've shut it down because of so many variety of different reasons. And yet there is that in them. And it's in it. I forget mine too. And yet there's a core piece of me that knows, always knows. And that fierce compassion, I always say that's like a fuel, it's a fuel for life to get up and go, oh, goody, I get to do this today. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be, oh, goody, I get to go to the grocery store with my mask on and emanate some love and compassion for those that are serving me. It's like simple things.
Yes.
Simple things.
Yes. Yes. We can be an instrument of healing and service everywhere, every moment, whatever it is that's going on. So yeah, he said self-awareness and just taking a moment to be compassionate. Yeah. Yeah.
So what else? Tell me about one of your experiences that was just like, holy moly experiences. Can you remember?
Oh, I don't even think I could call one up. Every day there's some kind of wow. And I feel stretched, and that's also why I know that I'm in the right work, because I learn every day and I'm inspired every day.
Yeah.
I was talking to one of my favorite men clients yesterday, and I always ask for a place to start when I do my invocation. I turn it over to Spirit and say, what's the first message? And the first thing they wanted to talk about was the difference between a personal, intimate relationship with the divine and religion. And this poor man has been struggling for so long because he was very devout in a particular spiritual path for 30 years of his life. And now he's trying to step away from that. And the guilt continues to draw, am I going to go to hell because I didn't do the practice today? Oh my God, I was like, I only did 3 of them. I'm supposed to do 14. And, I only did 20 minutes instead of 2 hours. And, it's the huge struggle around that. And it made me want to weep, because the truth is, in his heart and in his soul, he is so devout, so naturally, organically devout. And the religious aspects of these things have brought more torment and more separation from him with himself and from him with his relationship. And it made me so sad about that. And the purity of his heart. And so the message was, hey, you are so deeply spiritual by your nature, you can't not be a spiritual being. And do you need these routines and practices and there's something man-made, there's something human-made about all of that, that we have to do these steps in this way and don't deviate from that or you will be off track. And I understand that some people need that kind of structure to feel safe. But for many of us, like my client yesterday, he's been tormented by trying to walk an artificial walk.
Yeah.
That doesn't allow his organic nature in the relationship with spirit. That's energetic and vibrational, and not about the rules like that. Yeah. So every day there's something just really profound that hits me in a very deep way. So
well, just to have the experience of being able to experience that intimacy with another individual is such a gift. I know that's what I love. is being invited into people's lives is such a gift, to be able to be at such an intimate level, to be able to have those discussions.
Yeah.
It might be the only place they feel free to have those discussions as they're going through, you know, our community's called Freedom Rising Spiritual Community. And Freedom Rising is very painful and scary. And to become truly sovereign and autonomous in our lives is something that I'm really, really passionate about, because that's when we know we have that God spark. We know we have that place that is just spontaneous and beautiful and passionate, and you know, or passion, you know, is not always positive, right?
No.
Compassion, you know, people that have been through our workshops and been through programs and worked individually, you know, they know the fierceness that I can bring, because fierce compassion sometimes is challenging someone to, you know, to maybe look at something differently, or whatever it might bring. But that's being fierce about the work, about awakening and awareness, and me having a desire for, you know, those people that I'm working with to love their lives, wherever they are in their lives. It's like love in life is just so fun, and that's even the heartache. It's like a lot, like you said, you're bringing that up with this gentleman, and it's the heartache and the heartbreak of transformation. It's like, you know, if we help the butterfly come out of the cocoon, the butterfly dies. And yet we can assist and watch and hold that vision, knowing their potential, right? But we know it's really difficult, and yet without that difficulty, it's not happening.
Right. The fire has to be there. It can't. Birth is birth. It's a birthing process. I mean, it's, you know, it's messy. It's bloody. It's painful. You know. So yeah, and it's glorious. And what an incredible blessing and opportunity that you and I have to be that kind of intimate with the people that we work with. Because so many people, they don't get that all day long. Their lives are pretty superficial. You know, being very careful what they say and what they don't say. And, you know, I gotta say, if you're a woman that, you know, dyes her hair because you love to do it and it gives you pleasure, then do that. If you're a woman who's dyeing her hair and it doesn't give you pleasure to do that, stop that. You know, I mean, if you love makeup and it makes you happy, do it. If it don't, then don't. But part of that being real, it's like, you know, I just, you know, I show up barefaced because that's how I live.
Right.
You know, it is a glorious moment by moment discovery, and life is complicated. And
it's complicated, and it's really hard because we are such empath, we are such sensitive people. Energy is shared, all emotions are shared, and when that happens, it's like, where am I, who am I, you know? And discovering that core essence of who we are is so difficult, so that we, you know, we can figure out, oh, you know, I don't want to color my hair anymore. And then I start going to COVID-19 is like, you know, I'm going to go see if the grocery store has a little bit of touch-up stuff. I wasn't quite ready to go there. So that's my authentic truth, right?
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I put on a little lipstick today because I looked a little ghostly. It's like, okay, I want a little color.
Yeah.
But what brings you joy? Are you doing the things you're doing because they make you happy? Or are you doing the things you're doing because you think you ought to?
Yeah.
Like, you know, my gentleman yesterday is like, well, I've got all these, you know, rituals and all these processes I'm supposed to do, you know, in order to make God happy, right? Well, maybe, you know.
Okay, so I have a question with Stephanie. And thank you, Regina. It was great. Regina said, this was just what I needed to hear today. Got to go by. Great. So Stephanie Rogers, hey, Stephanie. Thank you for sharing your gifts and truths with us. I am resonating with this message of spiritual relationships. Currently curious about what seems to be conflict/confusion between practice and complacency, letting go of the shoulds and doings while remaining awake, engaged, and growing. Would you like to address that? Or do you want to check in with Stephanie Rogers' energy field and see what you might have for her
Well, the
around
first thing I'm
conflict
hearing,
and confusion?
Stephanie, is that you're right on it. I mean, there's nothing that you need to be doing any different. Even the fact that you're in the dance, asking the questions and feeling your way into the energy of relationship, you're on it. Sometimes we need to be confused to have clarity. I mean, we don't have clarity initially, we have confusion, you know? So I don't get that there's anything wrong with your process. I think you're right on it, and it's unfolding beautifully. Where are you efforting? Where are you doing a should or an ought to? And I know for a fact that you'll be able to tell that energy. You will know what it feels like when you are stepping across the line that says, here's a ought to, should, and then this is just feeling like it's juicy and it's fun and it feels really good and it's natural, and you're going to know the difference. And when it was like, you know, this just feels like it's coming from my playful self, this comes from my inner whatever, my inner kid, my inner teenager, this comes from my inner woman, this is good. And then this is like an ought to, should, you know, it's coming from another place. You'll be able to feel that. You're right on it. You're really learning how to get juicy in your own organic being. So play with it, enjoy it, open it up. Pam, what would you want to say to her about that?
Well, doubt and confusion to me is in partnership with being the inquisitive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just continue being inquisitive. Questions, like you said, Jacquelyne, earlier about questioning spirit. You know, it's like, do I want to do this? Do I not want to do this? Do I want to engage in this anymore? Or do I not want to engage? So being inquisitive to me is like the awakening.
Mm-hmm.
When we stop having questions, we are complacent. You know, complacent, I guess, is complacency might be different than surrendering or allowing. And so work with that, because complacency feels like it's kind of a word that, to me, if this is what you meant, might be a little bit more about, I'm happy just doing this. When I would question that, am I really happy? You know, is there something else for me? So complacency might just be a little bit vibrationally not surrender and not allowing. It's more of an inaction step.
Mm-hmm.
So just question that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, if I've just climbed the mountain, I want to sit and have the picnic. You know, don't be in a big hurry to move on. So being in a complacent state, I might sit at the bus stop for a while and just hang out. Nothing wrong with that. But if complacency means I'm settling,
yes,
I'm settling for things that I really don't enjoy, or that I'm really not getting any high from, I'm not getting any juice from, then that's where I'm actually not being good to myself.
Right. So just, yeah, check out the energy around that word and what it's actually meaning. And if it's, because oftentimes we go into behavioral experiences that have a lot of history. So we get up to a certain point of transitioning in our lives, and that's when we get scared, because that's what happens when, you know, when we're scared, we go to this place oftentimes of complacency, because we slip back. You know, we're ready to birth the baby. Well, the baby goes right back into the womb.
Uh-huh.
And this is very, very common with people. Yeah. Yeah. So go through, say, and. I'm uncomfortable,
yes. And. Yes.
That's my big word. That's my big word. If anybody could take it away, just say and instead of but or. Say and. I'm scared and. I'm moving on.
Yeah, I'm moving on. Yeah. If we're full, if we think we know, if we're so sure that we know something, we're not open to receive a new idea or a new aha.
Yeah.
And one of the things I'm often having to tell people is, like, you know, you want to empty first. We think we're trying to receive new intuitive information, but we're already full of our own ideas and thoughts. We're not going to be open to receive something new. So, you know, you want spirit to be able to surprise you sometimes. And if we've got everything all narrowed and labeled, it doesn't allow for that. So it's nice to just, you know, let it empty out. I'm going to empty out all the things I already think I know about this, so that I can receive some new impression. But Yeah, got empty.
I love that. It's what I've been, oftentimes I get impatient. It's like, I'm a fiery person. I can create, and I can create pretty instantly. And yet my pause, it needs to be intentional, because I've been wanting to do this online Zoom support, empathic support group with some small teachings, but yet everybody's in a group. So it's group coaching kind of thing versus individual. And yet it didn't drop in till 2 days ago. And I've been working on this vision for probably 2 months. And it's like, oh, I'm going to do it this. I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to do it this way. It's still falling into place because I wasn't resonating. So I didn't hop. I didn't force it, because the forces I've learned are failures, but they're not failures because I always learn something from them. But in the sense of being in service, it's not me being in service when I'm, forcing something too prematurely. It's like the baby needs to stay in the oven till it's ready to
till it's ready.
give birth.
Now, something that came up for me in a little vibration that Stephanie said in her comment, women in particular can settle. I see it a lot in my clients. Women will settle for a lot less from a relationship than what we really want. And so I would invite you, Stephanie, to raise the bar. Make sure that you're being, legitimate with yourself. I always talk about the non-compromisables. If you're looking at a relationship, what are the non-compromisables? What are the things you absolutely must have? This relationship must do this, this, and this. This person must be this, this, and this. And those are my non-compromisables. And there might be all kinds of other things I might want and wish and hope for, but these are my bottom lines. And I'm not compromising that. I will not compromise that. So raise the bar and make sure that you're being true to your own needs. Otherwise, no relationship is going to satisfy you. They won't be real.
Thank you for that. I just had this conversation with one of my clients yesterday. I think it's so important to address those habits that have been on the planet for about 5,000 years, that's running through the feminine of, I want in my life, regardless of what relationship it is, relationship with you. That's why I really resonate, wanted to be on camera with you, is because I feel like it's conscious equal partnership.
Yes. Yes.
There's nobody trying to outshine the other or take over. And that's what I have attracted into my life and created. I'll own it, because there was a lot of shifting and changing I had to do as I became aware of really what my needs needed to be. And so I value you. I value those relationships that are conscious equal partnerships.
Yeah, same. And that is such a pleasure. And that is where I keep wanting to raise the bar and make sure that I'm getting those more and more places.
So anything else? We've got just a couple more minutes to wrap it up. What would you like to end with? I think I lost my internet a little bit.
I'll speak for myself. It's easy for me not to receive support, not to ask for support for myself when we're in service all the time to other people. And so this is such a refreshing reminder and such just a pleasure to get to connect with a peer and colleague and just share energy like this. And it's just extremely supportive and really, really feels like a thing. Thank you, Pam. Thank you.
Yes, in fact, I'm going to do this publicly because I'm going to be vulnerable, because I've been seeking support and I haven't put it out in the world yet. But I would like to have a relationship with you that we are supporting each other. Would you want to do that, or do you want to tell me off camera? And we could discuss how that looks, because that's important too.
No, I would be really good to do that. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah. No, I would love that. That would be really great. That would be
Yes,
really great.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna check
Yeah.
that off.
Truly, as corny as it sounds, we are more together.
Awesome. So we just got
Awesome.
something done today.
Yeah.
We
We
love
begin.
all. I hope that you all are able to accept yourselves more fully, you know, the shadows, the light, whatever it is, and that
Yeah.
you shine and expand in a world that is collapsing, and allow yourself those moments to go
Right
in
on.
when you need to, and reach out to those
Yes.
that can support you and that know you and see you and share your vision.
Share your vision, share your passion, show up with your bumps and bruises. It's all part of the medicine. It's what makes it good. This is what's real.
Thank you, Jacquelyne.
Thank you.
Love you, and love you
Thank
all
you,
out
Pam.
there.
Love you. Be well. Enjoy. Enjoy.
Enjoy.